Would you pray with me, please? Oh God, you say, I make all things new. That's why we come here. We want to be here. We want you to take our broken parts and replace them. We want you to take our errant thoughts and actions and correct them. We want to be here. We find it. We achieve it when we turn to you and allow you to work with us. So Lord, as we come to your spoken word, work with us. Help us to make that transition. Help us to know that we're not broken anymore. Bless the words of my mouth and the meditation of all of our hearts, that they would be pleasing in your sight this day and forever. Amen. So the passage that Brian just read for us is pretty familiar to most of us. If you had anything to do with church growing up, you know the story of the burning bush, correct? But I want to look at it just a little different today. I want to point out that there's a big difference in something that this helps us to understand. Then when we come to that part of the scripture, when we come to that part of the story of Moses, Moses knew God, but Moses didn't know God. And it was through the burning bush that his life was changed, so that he knew God. The first two chapters of Exodus tell us that Moses had been born an Israelite, and at the time Pharaoh had put out an order because there was way too many of them, overpopulation. They were afraid that they'd all rise up someday and take over the land of Egypt, so he sent orders out to kill all the boys. Just when you ladies thought that you didn't have a leg up on us, at least in Egypt you did. And Moses' mother could not bear to see her son destroyed, to see her son slain. So you remember the story, she took reeds and she wove a basket and she put pitch in it so it wouldn't sink, and she floated him down the Nile. And as he's floating down the river, Pharaoh's daughter found him and claimed him as hers. She raised him. Now, being raised an Egyptian was a whole lot different than being raised as an Israelite. The Israelites were slaves. The Israelites were out in the field making mud bricks. The Israelites were building all the big cities and temples and everything in the land of Egypt. That allowed the Egyptians to have a pretty good life. Moses would have got a good education. Moses would have been welcomed into the royalty. Moses would have been able to walk in and out of the throne room of Pharaoh anytime he wanted to. Moses would have ate really good. And Moses wouldn't have worn the back robes with the belt on it that we see in all those kind of movies. He would have been dressed nice. Moses grew up as a person of privilege. Moses probably grew up worshiping the gods of Egypt, because that's what his mom and his father-in-law, or not his father-in-law, his grandfather, everybody would have taught him. He would have grown up knowing who Osiris and all the other ones are. I can't remember all the names right now, but you get the picture. He was an Egyptian. The Israelites were profiting to be controlled by the Egyptians. But somewhere, somehow, along the line, he found out that he was an Israelite. He found out what his history was. And he started going out and hanging out with them folk. Notice I didn't say those people. He went out and walked among them and talked to them and got to hear the stories of his heritage. And somewhere along the line, he heard about this God that was the one and only true God and was greater than all the gods of Egypt, is what the Israelites were told him. I'm guessing they didn't register at first. But he was on a new journey. Something had changed. He probably didn't even pray to God at this point. He had no intimate relationship with this God at this point. But all of a sudden he knew about that God. The Bible tells us that Moses grew fond enough of his Hebrew roots that one day when he was walking amongst them and he saw an Egyptian beating an Israelite, he killed the Egyptian and buried him in the sand. And an edict went out from Pharaoh that he was to be arrested and executed. So Moses, being a smart man, said, "No, I'm out of here." Moses traveled across the desert. Moses went to the land of Midian. And the story in here, whether you watch it, it's whether you want the Charlton Heston version or the biblical version, they run pretty close at this point. But he's wrestling against the well when these shepherd girls come out who are working for their father, Jethro, the priest of Midian. And a bunch of other shepherds started picking on them and driving away from the well. And evidently Moses had some muscle and some bulk about him because he took care of it. Maybe we could look at that and say that was the first story of bullying in the history. I don't know. I'm sure there's others. But because of that, the girls went back and told Dad, and the priest said, "Well, where's he at? What's wrong with your manners? You should have invited him for supper." And he ended up being invited, and he ended up being given hospitality, and he ended up going to work for Jethro and minding his sheep, and he ended up marrying one of the daughters. Now, I got to believe that somewhere in all that, if the daughter was raised in a religion that Moses wasn't, that there were probably some deep theological discussions over the supper of figs and bread. And if your father-in-law is a priest, I'm guessing Moses got preached at on one or two occasions. Because that's what we do. And he kept on this path, and he continued to hear more and more about this God, and he continued to grow more and more towards his relationship with that. But it was all still in him. It was all still there. And then the story we get to today, chapter 3 of the story of Exodus, tells us about a burning bush. Now, I've burned some bushes down at my farm. They don't burn very long, especially if they're all dried out. Matter of fact, you don't want to be standing close to it when you start the fire. Especially if you do like I do. I don't build this neat little fire. I throw a railroad fusee on it. They go up pretty fast. But Moses is watching this bush, and it doesn't do what it usually does. I'm guessing he's thinking, well, I'm going to get my light in, it's hot out, whatever. But this bush just continued to burn. Well, that's not natural. After it burned for just a little bit, he should have been able to go up there and put a sheep hot dog on it and roast it over the embers. It should have burned down, right? That's what we see. Not this bush. And then pretty soon Moses says, I got to go check this out. I got to go look at it. Something's not right. And I always got to that part where I'm going like, well, who watched the sheep? Because the scriptures don't tell us that part. But anyhow, Moses left the sheep, and he goes to the base of Mount Sinai, and he climbs up until he gets to that bush. And as he gets towards that bush, God calls him from within the fire of the bush and says, Moses, Moses. At that point, Moses' life changed. It's at that point that I see that transmission between head and heart started. I don't think it was solidified at that point, but the God of Israel, the God that he had heard about, the God that people had preached to him about, became real. Became real. And Moses' life changed. Did it not? I want to look at that passage of Scripture this morning, and as we start a series of prayer for the month, because I believe it is a story of prayer in the time of Moses and now. I have no trouble understanding the Hebrew belief at that time that God was on the mountain. I have no trouble believing that the people thought God lived on Mount Sinai. Because even we know, if I want God, we look up, do we not? If we want God, He's in a high place. If we want God, He's up there watching over all of us. If I want God, we even sing, there's a song, and we even sing a praise song that says He's high and lifted up. So I have no problem believing that God, we know that He's all around us, and we know that He's always present, etc., etc. But then, God lived on the mountain. And there wasn't an elevator that went from the base of the mountain up to the burning bush. You had to climb. You had to put forth a little effort. And the higher you climb, the closer you got. So if I'm following the Hebrew tradition, if I want to get close to God, I got to do a lot of climbing. I might even have to break a sweat for my faith. And the way we climb that mountain is how? How many of you were paying attention to the children's message? Every time Moses went up the mountain, every time, whether it's in this book or one of his other books, of Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, and oh, by the way, it's believed that he wrote Genesis too. Every time Moses went up the mountain, what did he do? He talked to God. What is praying? Talking to God. You see where I see prayer in that whole thing? Every time Moses went up, he talked to God. And on the next few weeks, I want you to visualize that. I want you to visualize the mountain of prayer and God being at the top. And we have to climb that mountain. We have to make that trip. And we make the trip through prayer. Prayer is to climb. We know it's physically impossible enough to get high enough to find God. But the higher I climb the mountain of prayer, the closer I can get to finding God. It's when I clasp my hands, close my eyes, and quiet my heart and pray that I'm climbing the mountain. If you read the books, like I said, every time he's up there, that's exactly what he's doing. He's praying. He's talking to God. And if you don't want to believe Moses, will you believe Jesus Christ? Because that's this morning's scripture. Listen to what Jesus did. One day soon afterward, Jesus went up on a mountain to pray. And he prayed to God all night. At daybreak, he called together all of his disciples and chose 12 of them to be apostles. Here are their names. Simon, whom he named Peter, Andrew, Peter's brother, James, John, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, James, the son of Alphaeus, Simon, who was called a zealot, Judas, the son of James, and Judas Iscariot, who later betrayed him. If you ever want to know all the disciples that Jesus chose, you ought to have that one highlight. Because I know you all got your Bibles, right? Oh, blank stares. You know, sometimes I think we're doing a disservice by putting it up on the screen and putting it in here, because we're making a whole generation biblically illiterate. Might change one of these days. Might change one of these days. But that is where it's all listed. Someday I'll show you there's neat things here, like the listing of Jesus' brothers' names. And yeah, look at this thing every once in a while. I just scolded you for those of you that didn't catch it. But back to this, I'm sorry. I'm seeing squirrels all over today. Jesus has had some grueling days. If you read before this, he's had some heavy-duty teaching and preaching, and he has been taking the Pharisees to task. The story right before he gets to this one is where on a Sunday, on what would have been Saturday there. But on the Sabbath day, inside the church, he healed a man's deformed hand. Talk about breaking the rules. He got like a trifecta out of that one. And so he's arguing with the Pharisees. Now, have you ever argued with people that you can't tell anything to? Don't you walk away kind of brain dead? Yeah, you're kind of physically or emotionally exhausted. So I can see where Jesus is in that life. And to Jesus' credit, unlike Mike, he never called them idiots or told them they were stupid. Hypocrite was his favorite word, but he never went as far as I would have went. But Jesus is probably running on empty here. And what did he do? He went up the mountain to pray. There's a couple lessons here you got to catch. Number one, he goes up the mountain to get away from the people. It's okay to pray here on Sunday morning together, but sometimes you got to pray by yourself. Sometimes you got to do away with the distractions. And we do that when we climb the mountain, when we get away, so it's just me and God. And that's what feeds Jesus' soul. I got news for you. That's what will feed your soul too if you do it. Now I like this other image that we get in here. And he prayed all night. How do I say this nicely? If I ask you about your exercise of prayer, I'm guessing most of you can't give me 15 minutes. Some of you, on a good day, might be able to give me a half hour. But when's the last time you stayed awake all night and not fallen asleep, not taking a nap, not watched TV, not took a break to read Upper Room, but you prayed all night? Anybody? I didn't think so. That's right, don't feel guilty. I haven't either. Jesus did. Jesus went up that mountain and he made the best time of it he could make. He spoke to God. He prayed. And he prayed because the next day he was going to make some heavy-duty decisions. You know, I got to thinking about it. Jesus went up and prayed because he had to pick 12. We just had a meeting a couple of weeks ago about who was going to fill what slots in the church next year. I think I might have prayed 2 minutes to lead us into the meeting. Maybe somebody should have stayed up all night and prayed about that one. Oh, prayer team, if I got a job for you next year. I want to stay up and pray, but you guys will do it for me, won't you? I'm not seeing a whole lot of gusto on that. But then I want you to see what happens. What did Jesus do after he got done praying? He called 12. He called 12 people who were going to be the future of his movement. 12 people who were going to take care of forming the church after he was gone, and he invited them to climb higher. He invited them to come up on the mountain with him and start to exercise their muscles too. Because he knew the decisions they were going to be making, he knew the jobs that they were going to be doing, he knew the persecution and oppression that they were going to suffer, and if they were going to do their jobs, they had to have communication with God the Father Almighty. The only way they was going to get that. They had to climb the mountain. So here's my main lesson for you today as we begin this series that I want you to learn today. The mountain still calls. The mountain did not stop calling Christians to pray when Jesus died. It's been going on for years now. Thousands of years. We are called to climb the mountain of prayer to make a difference in our lives and the lives of others. God didn't call Jesus to set down the mountain of prayer. God didn't call the first 12 to make the climb and then close it down so that nobody else could get there. Just the opposite. God still calls His children to climb the mountain today. Today. To enter into an intimate relationship with Him today. And we still climb it through the simple act of prayer. I love the vision. I'm trying to remember if I've got it built into the series, so I don't have to give it all over today. But when Moses got done talking with God, by the end of his relationship, he glowed. I believe we do enough praying. I believe if we come to Mount Sinai, we'll glow too. People will not hesitate to recognize you as a disciple of Jesus Christ because you'll have your glow on. And I don't even have to break your neck and shake you like one of those fluorescent tubes to get it to work. God will take care of it. And we still come to the simple act of prayer. There's another passage in here that if you had your Bibles, I would pay and make sure it's highlighted. Revelation chapter 3, verse 20. Look, I stand at the door and knock. If you hear my voice and open the door, I will come in and we will share a meal together as friends. And I see Sue or somebody found the picture and has it out here. I invite you to look at it on your way out because one of the things you'll notice that people sometimes miss, there's no handle on Jesus' side of the door. You have to open it. You have to open the door and invite Jesus in, and you do that through what? Oh, by George, I think they got it. Through prayer. Through prayer. We usher Jesus Christ into our lives. Through prayer, after we get Him there, after we get Him out of our head and into our hearts, it's through prayer that we continue to build that journey. It's the way we continue to climb, to get higher and closer and more intimate. Through prayer. God is calling you to climb the mountain, no matter where you're at on that journey. You might be at the very bottom looking up. You might be approaching a burning bush. You might have already got there and moved past it going, I'm on home. But wherever you're at, it doesn't work without prayer. Amen.